Damn. Let me see. Shoot, really could pull up something.
Let's see. Get this one. Let me pull this up. Hold on. All right, what is it saying? All right, hold on. We're not live yet. Oh, yeah, here we go. Let me see. We live?
We good to go?
Can one of y'all verify?
Let me see. I'm checking.
See here.
Yes,
Yep,
we are.
we good to go. We on. All right, perfect. So hello and welcome to the last fiscal quarter. The last week in this fiscal quarter of the pretty much year. This is the Lost Confederacy channel. We have myself, Chief Biko. Today we have Chief Alligator as well as Chief Quietwater. And today, as always, we focus more so on that first letter in the acronym APOW, which is American. And I'm pretty sure if you've been following us thus far, we've proven that we are prisoners of war on our own land. And then we'll continue to do so and also provide solutions on how we get out of this predicament. With that being said, we're going to start off today's video with a Jim Crow era video, pretty much just highlighting what our people, our ancestors went through at the time, as we'll continue to read through 1964 Civil Rights Act. Go ahead and share my screen. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
All right, perfect. Is this the one?
No.
No, this ain't the one.
Can't hear it either.
You say you can hear it as well?
Can you hear it, Chief Quietwater?
I cannot, no.
Don't give me one moment. Pull that up real quick. All right, here we go. Oh, where is this one at? Links for videos. Oh, why is not popping up the video links?
All right, so while he's working on that, welcome everybody that is in the chat. This is the last fiscal quarter of the year. Hopefully you have had some type of goals that you've been working toward this year, and hopefully you've accomplished them. As far as this channel is concerned, we're closing in on 104 different inventions that our ancestors have created as we come up on our 2-year anniversary of doing this project. And what we're continuing to show is our history is not defined by what Jewish media likes to call slavery, because again, we have yet to repeat the same invention, and we have done close to 80 Each week we give you a different inventor. So out of an invention comes manufacturing, distribution, and people have these products that our ancestors have created all over the world. So Chief Biko, let us know when you're ready.
Should be good to go. Y'all just let me know if y'all can hear it.
It's not playing. We can't hear it. We can see it, but not.
Still nothing. Oh, what's wrong with this thing? Might be my headphones. Hold on.
Martin Luther King Jr. came
Now
to
we can.
Alabama in 1963 on a mission to a place he called the most segregated city in the United States.
To dramatize this blatant stuff and to demand that the federal government not put a cent in this city unless it decides to face the realities of desegregation.
In the nonviolent demonstrations that followed, King and hundreds of protesters were arrested. They were pressing the city to eliminate laws that sought to keep Blacks and whites separated in schools, restaurants, and many other public places. Historian Robert Corley says King and the local civil rights leaders needed this strategy to succeed.
There had been no movement whatsoever in the city toward any form of desegregation of any of its institutions. And so King was saying, if we can win in Birmingham, if we can come to Birmingham and prevail, then we can win anywhere.
King and his followers were met with fierce resistance from the police. Public Safety Commissioner Eugene Bull Connor, backed by the majority of white residents, was determined to stop the demonstrations. Without enough volunteers to continue the protests, King and other leaders enlisted hundreds of young school children to keep the marches going and fill up the jails. The young African-American student protesters would gather here on the steps of the 16th Street Baptist Church and hear inspirational speeches from civil rights leaders like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. They would then file from the church and walk across the street to a park where they were determined to demonstrate peacefully for equal rights.
I was arrested after we got about a block away from the church in this area.
Janice Kelsey was 16 years old when she and her schoolmates were jailed.
My mind was made up. I was going to participate. I was going to go to jail. I wanted to get my freedom.
Then on the second day of the student demonstrations, things turned violent. Police turned high-pressure fire hoses on the young people and set attack dogs on them. Birmingham civil rights leader, Reverend Calvin Woods, was there.
There had been some dog biting, some beating, some killing. Many people were beaten and spit on and put in jail, lost jobs. But those were minor things compared to what we felt we had to do.
The brutal crackdown was widely televised, and images of the event were seen around the world. Robert Corley says this incident galvanized new support for the civil rights movement.
It was really that children's crusade that really turned the tide, because it did serve the goal of filling up the jails and forcing the white community to come to the table with King and negotiate some sort of settlement.
Eventually, King and Birmingham city leaders reached an agreement. Within months, the local segregation laws were abolished. Reverend Woods says King's determination to keep the movement going made all the difference.
But we would not have accomplished what we did if it had not been for the support and leadership that Dr. King brought.
The Birmingham campaign was a climactic battle of the civil rights movement. For many, it stands as an iconic symbol of the sacrifices made by King and thousands of African Americans. Chris Simpkins, VOA News, Birmingham, Alabama.
Those who were at the back of the line.
All right. We really just wanted to show that video because that's going to lead us exactly into where we currently are, which is the 1964 Civil Rights Act. And we have to understand that that act was not to get quote unquote African Americans to vote. That was to eliminate Jim Crow laws, which were very specific in who they were targeting, which is the Negro, colored, any other reclassification name that was given to our group of people. It was not to vote. And we'll be looking at this Civil Rights Act, and all of the Civil Rights Act, you'll see that it's very broad in its language, not specific at all. So a question we always have to ask ourselves as the viewer is, who the hell is civil? Jim Crow laws were not attacking civil, they were attacking the Negro and the colored. So that is definitely one mistake that our ancestors made in regards to trying to decrease the military occupation that we know as Jim Crow laws. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and jump into our American Inventor for this week, which will be given by Chief Alligator.
Right, let me share my screen. Let's go here. Okay, today's American Inventor. I've been giving praise to this ancestor for the last couple of weeks. His name is Albert B. Blackburn. Blackburn being all one word. He's from Springfield, Ohio. This week, I'm going to do the invention of the spring seat for chairs. Federal patent number 380420. And this invention was patented on April 3rd, 1888. And this invention was applied to chairs, sofas, stools, and analogous articles of furniture. So I am going to click on the image. I'm going to zoom in so that you guys can see as well as people in the chat. And so prior to this invention, I guess we were sitting on wood, and we can see here in figure 1, what he did was implemented springs, and that would be in stools, chairs, or sofas. So again, when you're sitting on your furniture in your house, it's very comfortable to sit on today. Understand that American A.B. Blackburn is the inventor of adding springs into chairs. That is this week's inventor. The family does not receive a percentage of income from this invention, nor do the American as a group receive a percentage of income from this invention. That is this week's inventor.
Excellent, excellent inventor this week. And as you stated, the family, as well as our group of people, don't receive any percentage of income from that particular invention, as well as the industry, which we can see, you know, mattresses, chairs, couches, etc. So next, we will go ahead and have Chief Quietwater with this week's Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote. And I'm going to share my screen, that way you all can see it as well as the viewer. I should be good to go.
Okay. So I'm going to do number 3. It was well understood that if by the teaching of history, the European man could further assured of his superiority, and the Negro could be made to feel that he had always been a failure, and that the subjection of his will to some other race is necessary. The freedman then would still be a slave. If you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his actions. When you determine man shall think, you don't have to concern yourself with what he will do. And I think that that's an important quote, just everything that we've actually talked about in regards to us not really knowing our history and the information that we went over this past over a year that we've been doing this. We don't know the information, so therefore they have been able to control everything that we basically do. And so that's why I think this is a good quote for this week.
Can you do us a favor, Chief Quietwater, for those in the chat that may not know, why do we read Dr. Carter G. Woodson quote every week. Who is Dr. Carter G. Woodson to us? Why should we know who
He was the inventor of Black History Month, basically. And just his quotes, and there was more quotes than this, right? These are just some that we picked out, correct? So just practical things that we can, that really should trigger thoughts in regards to how we got to where we are and things of that nature. But Dr. Carter G. Woodson was the inventor of Black History Month.
Excellent quote for this week. Excellent quote. Just kind of what it reads to me, just, we got to be very conscious of what we're feeding our minds, be very intentional with our thoughts. Because like you said, if we already have ourselves at that inferiority or inferior mindset and looking at the European as superior, whether we are classifying ourselves as slaves or, we didn't do anything, then that's just going to show itself in the real world, in reality. So that's very important for us to really be conscious in what we are really thinking about. And that's going to lead us right into our legal definitions, because that's really going to align with number 7, which is recovery. But I'm going to go ahead and read from number 1. Number 1, American is an indigenous to America. Number 2, descendants, one who follows in the bloodline of an ancestor, either lineally or collaterally. Number 3, slavery, a situation in which one person has absolute power over the life, fortune, and liberty of another. Number 4, prisoner of war, a person, usually a soldier, who is captured by or surrenders to the enemy in wartime. Number 5, school, any institution in which instruction is given in a particular discipline. Number 6, education, an enlightening experience. And number 7, recovery, a return to a normal state of health, mind, or strength, the action or process of regaining possession of something stolen or lost. And last but not least, the maroon historical points. Number 1 was a person escaping slavery, seeking freedom, or breaking the law. Number 2, providing unity and a strong defense came first. Number 3, maroon leaders were first and foremost military figures. Number 4, maroons established guerrilla warfare, planting sharp sticks in thick grass. And number 5, maroons knew their European enemies' language, defenses, and plans. And really, people, these steps, the quotes, reading the American Inventor, as well as the legal definitions, is all something that we have to pretty much practice on a daily basis, because these are the steps to recover our identity as well as recover our nationality. With that being said, we're going to jump into the Civil Rights Act of 1964. And I believe last time we were on this actual topic, we left off here. So I'll start at the beginning where it says for grants under this section. So for grants under this section and other applications which are pending before him, let me actually make this a little bigger. Which are pending before him, the financial conditions of the applicant and other resources available to it, the nature, extent, and gravity of its problems, incidents to desegregation, and such other factors as he finds relevant. Payments, section 406, payments pursuant to a grant or contract under this title may be made after necessary adjustments on account of previously made overpayments or underpayments in advance or by way of reimbursement, and in such installments as the commissioner may determine. So just kind of a recap. This is basically just giving a synopsis of what the duties of the commissioner are, as well as the other delegates within this topic that they're going to be pretty much investigating, which is, of course, the civil rights of desegregating and things of that nature. But they're actually just going in and talking about who will have the right to make sure that any payments for any fines that go against these civil rights will be made to. So here, suits by the Attorney General, section 407. Whenever the Attorney General receives a complaint in writing, 1, signed by a parent or group of parents to the effect that his or their minor children, as members of a class or of persons similarly situated, are being deprived by a school board of the equal protection of the laws or signed by an individual or his parent to the effect that he has been denied admission to or not permitted to continue in attendance at a public college by reason of race, color, religion, or national origin. And the Attorney General believes the complaint is meritorious and certifies that the signer or signers of such complaint are unable in his judgment to initiate and maintain appropriate legal proceedings for relief, and that the institution of an action will be materially further the orderly achievement of desegregation in public education. The Attorney General is authorized, after giving notice of such complaint to the appropriate school board or college authority, and after certifying that he is satisfied that such board or authority has had a reasonable time to adjust the conditions alleged in such complaint, to institute for or in the name of the United States a civil action in any appropriate district court of the United States against such parties and for such a release as may be appropriate. So I'm gonna stop right there. So again, it sounds like all of the power is given to the Attorney General. So whether he sees it is justified to move forward in regards to like whatever these complaints may be had, whether it be public education, whether it be at your local grade school level or college. If the Attorney General doesn't see that it is necessary to move forward, then it won't move forward. Then after that, then he's going to allow that same school that the alleged incidents were had at to pretty much get their act together for a certain amount of time before actually coming in and, you know, laying down any specific laws. So what it sounds like here.
There's a side note I want to throw in. When I was a kid in the 80s, having people like Walter Payton, I'm just bringing this up because Deion Sanders has been in the news a lot with the HBCU. What our people have to understand is that's where all of our talent had to go when I was a kid in the 80s. So Walter Payton, Doug Williams, all of our athletes were coming out of these HBCUs because, as you can see, the government had to force these public colleges to allow us. So when you see by the time I got to high school in the 90s and you get a Deion Sanders going to Florida State and, you know, all these big D1 schools having our kids or having our people on the football field and on the basketball court, I can remember in the 80s when I was a little kid that most of the athletes that I rooted for, they were coming out of HBCUs. And Eddie Robinson back then was always compared to Don Shula. Don Shula was propped up in European culture as being the most winningest coach. But Eddie Robinson from Grambling actually had a better record, but they didn't recognize Eddie Robinson because he was in the HBCU. So I just wanted to throw that little sidebar in when we're talking about desegregation of public education.
And that could be, now that you're mentioning that, why even today, why entertainers, well, a lot of athletes as well, have that leverage in regards to being the voice that they put before us when they're speaking about our issues and things like that, because they were kind of forced into that box back then, giving them the, you know, the power to, because they had a little bit of power back then, they had to let them in, like you said. So it gave them a little bit more publicity, basically, and then bringing it forward. Now we thinking that we have to listen to these entertainers and athletes in regards to issues that have to do with our rights, basically.
Yeah,
Great point. Let's see here, and I'll continue here. And such court shall have and shall exercise jurisdiction of proceedings instituted pursuant to this section, provided that nothing herein shall empower any official or court of the United States to issue any order seeking to achieve a racial balance in any school by requiring the transportation of pupils or students from one school to another or one school district to another in order to achieve such racial balance, or otherwise enlarge the existing power of the court to ensure compliance with constitutional standards. The Attorney General may implead as defendants such additional parties as are or become necessary to the grant of effective relief hereunder. So that just kind of goes exactly what you were saying, because we couldn't get into these schools. A lot of our, children, things of that nature, went straight to the HBCUs to actually, live out their dreams. It's saying here, they weren't going to, provide any transportation or any type of extra initiatives or extra, resources to make sure that racial balance or
I think he got.
Oh, you froze.
freezing.
well,
Yep. And just a side note on that, Joe Biden was against this. This is what was brought up when he was running for president. He was against the busing of our people. So that last little section you just read, yeah, he wasn't with, bringing Americans out of, from another jurisdiction to go to school with his kids. So, once again, we don't have a standard. So we gave him a pass. That older generation gave him a pass without him actually having to make amends. Making amends is not apologizing, it's righting the wrong. So here he's been in office 2 years and he still hasn't done anything specific for the group that put him in office.
Correct. So I'll continue here. The Attorney General may deem a person or persons unable to initiate and maintain appropriate legal proceedings within the meaning of subsection A of this section when such person or persons are unable, either directly or through other interested persons or organizations, to bear the expense of the litigation or to obtain effective legal representation, or whenever he is satisfied that the institution of such litigation would jeopardize the personal safety, employment, or economic standing of such person or persons, their families, or their property. Appropriate legal proceedings. So again, looks like all of the power is given to the Attorney General in regards to really deciding on whether to move forward or whether in regards to students or their parents legal rights in regards to having their child go to these public institutions.
Man, I got it's so much popping up in my mind because I remember watching these videos when I was young. I'm just thinking about Bill Russell, Jackie Robinson, all those first ones that caught literal hell, being the only one on the team. They couldn't eat it. They couldn't travel with the team. They couldn't stay at a hotel with the team. That's just what's going through my mind right now. The hell that they went through while trying to desegregate. We had our own basketball league. We had our own baseball leagues. And they caught hell, those first ones that went into the European structure. And shout out to the Walter Paytons of the world that broke all their records.
Correct.
Coming out
Jerry
of
Rice's.
Jerry Rice, right. Everybody I had on my wall growing up, when they did let us integrate, we broke all their records that they were.
And like you stated, those people that you named, they went to HBCUs, not because they couldn't play at these different levels, but because they weren't accepted at these other institutions. And we see once we got on the same playing field, it wasn't even the same playing field. Like we smashing their records, these people are legends that we talk about. So kind of going back to Chief Quietwater's Dr. Woodson quote, yeah, there's no way we should be looking at these Europeans. Exactly. Not when we know where we come from and the things we did once we got into their institutions. Again, we read these American inventors every week because we're showing you that we are the creators of all of these industries.
We're great at everything that we do. We supersede everything over them. And so we do have to get that mindset of white supremacy and using the word superior when it comes to them, because it's not the case.
Correct.
At all.
Absolutely. So I'll finish off this one here. The term parent as used in this section includes any person standing in loco parentis, a complaint as used in this section is a writing or document within the meaning of section 1001, Title 18, United States Code. Section 408, in any action or proceeding under this title, the United States shall be liable for costs the same as a private person. Section 409, nothing in this title shall affect adversely the right of any person to sue for or obtain relief in any court against discrimination in public education. So nothing in this title shall affect adversely the right of any person to sue or obtain relief, okay, in any court against discrimination in public education. Section 410, nothing in this title shall prohibit classification and assignment for reasons other than race, color, religion, or national origin. Kind of want to stop there because I know there's something currently going on within Congress in which they're trying to eliminate the need for people to classify themselves on applications as far as race. I think it's Harvard and UNC, where they're saying because of the need to have to put your race, that I believe they're saying like Asians or something are being discriminated against. I know I've been seeing something like that within the news, but it's just funny how, you know, they're saying that, but it seems like more of an escape clause to, again, eliminate our people from even being able to enter into their institutions again, kind of like what we was talking about with the Jerry Rices, the Walter Paytons, the Shannon Sharps, things of that nature. So as we can see, it's still, you know, war being waged on us, versed in both in the physical as well as within, you know, this paper war as well in regards to this Congress.
And I think it's important as well for us to realize it's okay to not be included.
Correct.
You know, the more that they
Absolutely.
start pushing us out and not allowing us to be included, we need to open up our brains and say, okay, let's start creating our own stuff. Let's do this for ourselves. Let's create this. You know, let's go back to what we know that we're good at.
Absolutely.
So we need to stop wanting to be included into this system that does not work for us.
Absolutely. That does not only, you know, that does not only not work for us, but also, you know, teaches lies. I mean,
Right.
we've been debunking this for almost 2 years now, as far as what has been the narrative, also known as the lie that's been, you know, taught to us in these indoctrination camps from these so-called scholars. So it's like, why are we even trying to, you know, obtain their quote unquote degrees and their mastery within their indoctrination when we know that it's a lie, when we actually read the document. So like you said, we need to come up with our own, teach our own, that way we can continue to move forward, because we won't just reading, you know, or being lectured to rather, what's actually being the truth. Did anybody want to pick up on Title 5 where it says Commission on Civil Rights?
I can.
Okay.
So Section 501, Section 2, I'm sorry. Starting that. Okay, yeah. Section 501, Section 102 of the Civil Rights Act of 1957 is amended to read as follows. Rules of procedure of the commission hearings. Section 102A, at least 30 days prior to the commencement of any hearing, the commission shall cause to be published in the Federal Register notice of the date on which such hearing is to commence, the place at which it is to be held, and the subject of the hearing. The chairman or one designated by him to act as chairman at a hearing of the commission shall announce in an opening statement the subject of the hearing. B, a copy of the commission's rules shall be made available to any witness before the commission, and a witness compelled to appear before the commission or required to produce written or other matter shall be served with a copy of the commission's rules at the time of service of the subpoena. C, any person compelled to appear in person before the commission shall be accorded the right to be accompanied and advised by counsel, who shall have the right to subject his client to reasonable examination and to make objections on the record and to argue briefly the basis for such objections. The commission shall proceed with reasonable dispatch to conclude any hearing in which it is engaged. Due regard shall be had for the convenience and necessity of witnesses. D, the chairman or acting chairman may punish breaches of order and decorum by censure and exclusion from the hearings. E, if the commission determines that the evidence or testimony at any hearing may tend to defame, degrade, or incriminate any person, it shall receive such evidence or testimony or summary of such evidence or testimony in executive session. This is basically kind of just going over just how issues are handled in the court process, I guess.
Yeah, just procedures, it sounds like to me.
Procedures. Okay. The commission shall afford any person defamed, degraded, or incriminated by such evidence or testimony an opportunity to appear and be heard in executive session with a reasonable number of additional witnesses requested by him before deciding to use such evidence or testimony. In the event the commission determines to release or use such evidence or testimony in such matter as to reveal publicly the identity of the person defamed, degraded, or incriminated, such evidence or testimony prior to such public release or use shall be given at a public session, and the commission shall afford such persons an opportunity to appear as a voluntary witness or to file a sworn statement in his behalf. In his behalf to submit brief and pertinent sworn statements of others. The commission shall receive and dispose of requests from such persons to subpoena additional witnesses. Anybody have any comments on that so far? Okay. F, except as provided in section 102 and 105F of this act, the chairman shall receive and the commission shall dispose of requests to subpoena additional witnesses. G, no evidence or testimony or summary of evidence or testimony taken in executive session may be released or used in public sessions without the consent of the commission. Whoever releases or uses in public without the consent of the commission such evidence or testimony taken into executive session shall be fined not more than $1,000 or in prison for not more than 1 year. In the discretion of the commission, witnesses may submit brief and pertinent sworn statements in writing for inclusion in the record. The commission shall determine the pertinency of testimony and evidence adduced at its hearings. I, every person who submits data or evidence shall be retained or
Was it my thing frozen or?
I'm not sure what happened.
I know I saw both of y'all froze, but I wasn't sure if because it happened with me when I was reading before.
Okay.
He just dropped off. Let me check the live real quick.
Okay. It's connected back on the live.
Okay.
Okay.
Some technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Y'all bear with us. We exposing the truth right now. I'm not sure where you left off. I kind of think left off
Let's
of this
see.
section H or I.
I'll go back to I.
Okay.
Every person who submits data or evidence shall be entitled to retain or on payment of lawful prescribed costs procure a copy or transcript thereof, except that a witness in a hearing held in executive session may for good cause be limited to inspection of the official transcript of his testimony. Transcript copies of public sessions may be obtained by the public upon the payment of the cost thereof. An accurate transcript shall be made of the testimony of all witnesses at all hearings, either public or executive sections of the commission or of any subcommittees thereof. J, a witness attending any session of the commission shall receive $6 for each day's attendance and for the time necessarily occupied in going to and returning from the same, and 10 cents per mile for going from and returning to his place of residence. That sounds like jury duty, basically. Witnesses who attend at points so far removed from their respective residences as to prohibit return, therefore thereto from day to day shall be entitled to an additional allowance of $10 per day for expenses of subsistence, including the time necessarily occupied in going to and returning from the place of attendance. Mileage payment shall be tendered to the witness upon service of a subpoena issued on behalf of the commission or any subcommittee thereof. K, the commission shall not issue any subpoena. Issue any subpoena for the attendance and testimony of witnesses or for the production of written or other matter which will require the presence of the party subpoenaed at a hearing to be held outside of the state wherein the witness is found or resides or is domiciled or transacts business, or has appointed an agent for receipt of service of process, except that in any event the commission may issue subpoenas for the attendance and testimonies of witnesses and the production of written or other matter at a hearing held within 50 miles of the place where the witness is found or resides or is domiciled or transacts business or has appointed an agent for receipt of service of process.
Again, just sounds like more procedures. But as we saw within that video, and as we just know from our history, a lot of these witnesses probably wouldn't even made it to trial if it was anything in regards to our people.
Right.
We see how the mob has just ramshacked jails and pulled us out of there just to hang us, and have their own, judge, jury, and executioner within the public square. So all of this sounds good, but again, none of this stuff stopped, anything from happening to Emmett Till. None of this stuff stopped anything from happening to countless stories of our people just being hung unjustly, just being, again, taken out of any cells from a group of, mob European citizens or United States citizens rather, and things of that nature. So again, we're reading these procedures that they have in place, but how many of our group of people can actually say this procedure actually took place for them?
Exactly, right. Okay, looks like he's coming back on.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. So I'll continue here with
Okay.
L. The commission shall separately state and currently publish in the Federal Register 1, descriptions of its central and field organization, including the established places at which and methods whereby the public may secure information or make requests. Number 2, statements of general course and method by which it functions and channeled and determined. And 3, rules adopted as authorized by law. No person shall in any manner be subject to or required to resort to rules, organizations, or procedure not so published. Okay, and then section 502, section 103A of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, 42 USC 1975 BA 71 Stat 634 is amended to read as follows. So section 103A, each member of the commission who is not otherwise in the service of the government of the United States shall receive the sum of $75 per day per day for each day spent in the work of the commission, shall be paid actual travel expenses and per diem in lieu of subsistence expenses when away from his usual place of residence in accordance with section 5 of the Administrative Expenses Act of 1946 as amended.
75 a day plus any other expenses.
Right.
Chief Alligator, are you good to go over there? See, you on mute right there.
He's
Should be
coming
all
back
good.
in.
So I'll pick up here for you, Chief Quietwater.
Okay.
All right. So Section 503, Section 103B of the Civil Rights Act of 1957 is amended to read as follows. Each member of the commission who is otherwise in the service of the government of the United States shall serve without compensation in addition to that received for such other service, but while engaged in the work of the commission shall be paid actual travel expenses and per diem in lieu of subsistence expenses when away from his usual place of residence in accordance with the provision of Travel Expenses Act of 1949 as amended. So it's looks like the exact opposite for those that actually work within the government of the United States. Section 504, Section 104 of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, as amended and further amended, is further amended to read as follows. Section 104, the commission shall investigate allegations in writing under oath or affirmation that certain citizens of the United States are being deprived of their right to vote and have that vote counted by reason of their color, race, religion, or national origin, which writing under oath or affirmation shall set forth the facts upon which such belief or beliefs are based. 2, study and collect information concerning legal developments constituting a denial of equal protection of the laws under the Constitution because of race, color, religion, or national origin, or in the administration of justice. 3, appraise the laws and policies of the federal government with respect to denials of equal protection of the laws under the Constitution because of race, color, religion, or national origin, or in the administration of justice. And number 4, serve as a national clearinghouse for information in respect to denials of equal protection of the laws because of race, color, religion, or national origin, including but not limited to the fields of voting, education, housing, employment, the use of public facilities and transportation, or in the administration of justice. And just want to stop right there. Again, this all sounds good, but again, they're not being specific on who these Jim Crow laws, which were very specific in regards to who couldn't get these equal protections underneath this federal government, whether it be for voting, education, housing, employment, all of the things that we know today as our group of people, whether it be redlining, Jim Crow laws, voting suppression, as they like to say now, all of these things are still occurring. So this Civil Rights Act of 1964, again, very broad, but not being specific in regards to who they were actually targeting in regards to those Jim Crow laws, which was our group of people.
I got an important question as well. I wanted to ask this before the connection had failed. Who was on the committee and who was the chairperson?
Yeah.
Right. So unless our people were sitting on this commission and unless our people were the actual chairpersons, which we know they weren't because they're not even being specific. What I'm taking from this Voting Rights Act of 1965, they were Jim Crowing us at the state level in the same area that the undeclared Seminole Wars were taking place. What the United States government decided was make a voting right and a desegregation policy for the world, not specifically for us. And so what should have happened was we should have had our own government corresponding with this government of how we were going to move forward. Instead, they wrote policies so the world could enjoy everything that they had stole from us, right? That go all the way down to the towns. I was talking with a family member today.
Great point.
How they would literally destroy our towns, put lakes on top of them, or just run you out of it, like in Forsyth, Georgia. right? And then say, hey, everybody in the world can come here and now enjoy everything that we've stolen. So that's really what I'm taking from this is if we weren't the commissioner and if we weren't the chairperson and we weren't the people on the commission, then that's part of the reason why we're still in this predicament today.
That's a excellent, observation, excellent point, because that's exactly what it is today. Like you said, we have these different groups of people on our land, whether they be, Indians, Ukrainians, Asians, different groups, all over the world living here today. And like you said, this was the act to allow that to be the case. Because if we think back in 1964, 1965 as well, just during the civil rights period, there weren't a lot of groups of people outside of Europeans and quote unquote Black people within the United States. So if we're trying to take today and say, well, there were, Asians, Indians, different groups of people, living here as well, that's not really the case. It wasn't, very large numbers. It was minuscule, if anything. So for them to be actually getting, Jim Crow law against wasn't the case. Again, they were very, very specific. The Negro, colored. They weren't talking about these other groups of individuals, yet these other groups of individuals are reaping the benefits from our ancestors. So that's a great point, like you said, and that just pretty much opened Pandora's box for what we see today. Ukraine getting billions of dollars to fund a war that has nothing to do with us. Africans getting billions of dollars that just, passed from Biden. Biden just said something about Native Americans getting are going to get billions as well. But again, but nothing for the group that has been benign and neglected and that has been warred against since this European stepped on this continent. So that's a great point. If you want to pick up on section 5 here, we left off on section 4, Chief Alligator.
Okay. Section 5, investigate allegations made in writing and under oath or affirmation that citizens of the United States are unlawfully being accorded or denied the right to vote or to have their votes properly counted in any election of presidential electors, members of the United States Senate, or of the House of Representatives as a result of any patterns or practice of fraud or discrimination in the conduct of such election. And subsection 6, nothing in this or any other act shall be construed as authorizing the commission, its advisory committees, or any person under its supervision or control to inquire into or investigate any membership practices or internal operations of any fraternal organization, any college or university fraternity or sorority, any private club, or any religious organizations. So, dang, that's powerful, subsection 6. Basically, Masonry will stay segregated. Whatever fraternities that you have to go to on these college campuses will remain segregated. Religious beliefs are going to be able to stay segregated. This commission and its committees cannot investigate segregation within those nonprofit organizations. Y'all want to share on that?
That has to do with a lot of the indoctrination of the preachers and the churches as well. Not being able to, they can't go against the government and things of that nature. So keeping it separate allows them to feed you the bull crap, feed our people the BS about what should be. And, that's why we have these preachers as our spokespeople too. They don't have our best interests. They're not putting us first. It's all about the money for them and the power that they really don't have.
And it's funny you said that as well, because it just shows, what's getting taught to these, these fraternal organizations, these religious groups, like what's actually being taught in their fraternal organizations by their preachers. Are they telling them the keys to actual life versus what ours are? Because again, we like to be brought up on that emotionalism, get the blood boiling, jump around for a couple hours and then go home versus what's actually, being taught, like what actual steps are being taught and applicable steps to use within your day-to-day life to make sure you can be a great individual, whether that be, from their church or their fraternal organizations. And it's funny how they, very made that distinct that, hey, we won't be desegregating these because these are what's holding those secrets. Kind of like what you said there, Chief Alligator, how they're segregating their lodges, when it comes to masonry, different things of that nature. We're not going to tell you all of the secrets. We'll give you all, up to this certain level, but after that, you got to do it on your own. We're not going to be telling you all of our secrets that we're going to hold on our side. So yeah, that's definitely interesting there.
Yeah, not only that, I'm thinking of two right now, the Daughters of Confederacy and the Ku Klux Klan. So they made sure that they were going to not, we're not gonna delve into that. Ku Klux Klan is a fraternal organization, just like Daughters of Confederacy. So yeah, we're not gonna be allowing any and everybody, or better yet, we're not gonna investigate when they block any and everybody from trying to. I'm gonna continue with section B. Section 104 of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, as amended, is further amended by striking out the present subsection B, and by substituting therefore B, the commission shall submit interim reports to the president and to the Congress at such times as the commission, the Congress, or the president shall deem desirable, and shall submit to the president and to the Congress a final report of its activities, findings, and recommendations not later than January 31st, 1968. So this goes back to what I said earlier. It's bullshit. We were not on this commission. We were not the chair. Therefore, this commission, we weren't liaisons to their Congress and to their president. So you got a bunch of people who don't want to desegregate, who still want Jim Crow, and they're supposed to be taking the complaints of everybody around the world, because they're not specifying the complaint of the Negro, colored, or person of African descent. So we can see the game. And I wasn't living at that time, but it makes a lot more sense now why your Black Panthers party and why Malcolm X was killed and Martin Luther King was killed. These people look at us as a threat because we were trying to be a part of something that they created. It's clear. It's clear as day to me.
Yeah. They got to deem it desirable to even look into it, to even have, any information that has been, collected over these really 4 years, because we're talking about the 1964, and that's talking about no later than January 31st of 1968. So 4 years is given that allotted time for them to even look into any of the reports made, and they have to be something deemed desirable by either the president or its Congress. So that's very interesting.
Yep, and X was killed before King, so X is killed during this while they're writing up all this legislation. Malcolm X was killed. The Black Panthers are being killed. Everybody that we hear about today that we've forgotten about. That's another thing that we have to work on. We have to start advocating for those of us that stood up. They're political prisoners of war to this day, and we've forgotten about them. Most recently would be the NFAC with Grandmaster Jay standing up for Breonna Taylor. You got him unjustly arrested, and Breonna Taylor never had a murder trial, and niggas okay with that. Niggas got nothing to say. So we have to break this habit of not supporting those that stand up for us. And if you think I'm crazy when I made that statement, why is it that they can kill us on video and they'll raise millions of dollars right in our face to protect that person, like right or wrong? We want to nitpick who stands up for us. And it's like, you have to be Jesus for us to want to, support you, but they'll show you, they don't care who you are, what your background is.
They're going to support you. They're going to ride for you.
They're going to create a GoFundMe account and they're going to millions of dollars right in our face. We got to wake up and realize we're not playing to win. I'll finish this section right here. as we come up on the hour mark. Section 505, Section 105 of the Civil Rights Act of 1957 is amended by striking out in the last sentence thereof $50 per diem and inserting in lieu thereof $75 per diem. Section 506, Section 105F, and Section 105G of the Civil Rights Act of 1957, F and G are amended to read as follows. Subsection F, the commission or on the authorization of the commission, any subcommittee of 2 or more members, at least one of whom shall be of each major political party, may for the purpose of carrying out the provisions of this act, hold such hearings and act at such times and places as the commission or such authorized subcommittee may deem advisable. Subpoenas for the attendance and testimony of witnesses or the production of written or other matter may be issued in accordance with the rules of the commission as contained in Section 102J and K of this act over the signature of the chairman of the commission or of such subcommittee and may be served by any person designated by such chairman. The holding of hearings by the commission or the appointment of a subcommittee to hold hearings pursuant to this subparagraph must be approved by a majority of the commission or by a majority of the members present at a meeting at which at least a quorum of 4 members is present. So to me, that's a lose-lose if you're a part of our group, because you're asking a group of Europeans to have a majority vote on your matter. Then on top of that, you have to be a part of their political party, Republican or Democrat. So the same 2 parties, when they formed this government that excluded you, they're telling you, hey, you got to play by our rules on our field and wear the jersey that we want you to wear. And let's just say you're the token one in there. You outnumbered because it's got to be a majority vote for anything to get passed anyway. So it's just layer after layer of got you trying to play within this kangaroo system. That's what I'm taking from this. Y'all want me to try to get through this section to close out the year?
Yeah, we probably could stop on Title 6.
Okay.
Title 6.
So I'm gonna pick up on subsection G. In case of contumacy or refusal to obey a subpoena, any district court of the United States or the United States court of any territory or possession, or the district court of the United States for the District of Columbia, within the jurisdiction of which the inquiry is carried on, or within the jurisdiction of which said person guilty of contumacy or refusal to obey is found or resides or is domiciled or transacts business, or has appointed an agent for receipt of service of process, upon application by the Attorney General of the United States, shall have jurisdiction to issue to such person an order requiring such person to appear before the commission or a subcommittee thereof, there to produce pertinent, relevant, and non-privileged evidence, if so ordered, or there to give testimony touching the matter under investigation, and any failure to obey such order of the court may be punished by said court as a contempt thereof. The commission shall have the power to make such rules and regulations as necessary to carry out the purposes of this act. So it all goes back to me to the who's on the commission, who's the chairperson. And so it's safe to say in 1968, none of us were on this commission and none of us was the chairperson. And so the first thing that's coming to my mind right now is why you're still getting the first this within the government structure. You're still getting the first, Black female Supreme Court justice, or the first this or the first, because you're not a part of these voting block committees.
Right.
So the idea that you're going to be the first, you're numerically outnumbered when it comes to any kind of majority vote to get stuff done on your behalf.
Yeah,
So,
mob rule.
Yeah, it's just a bait and switch, but I guess at this point we'll just close out with our thoughts, man, on finishing a whole nother fiscal year. And I'll let y'all do it, and then I'll chime in as well. We set a goal, we walked it down, and Chief Quadwater, Chief Biko?
I mean,
y'all?
for me, it's definitely been a great journey, just learning information that I wasn't aware of, and just breaking everything down for us to go through it together and to have a deeper understanding of these documents. And also realizing that coming to the conclusion that this stuff is it's there, the information is there. We didn't have to go so deep to find this information, but being my age, I can't change the past, but I wish I would have known this much earlier in life. So it's refreshing. It feels good to have put this goal out there and work with you guys, and to learn, basically to just learn and understand more.
Same here. Same here. Just doing these readings has helped me within my, just day-to-day regular life, whether it just be, trying to accomplish certain goals and things of that nature, just being able to look at it from a different perspective, actually reading, these documents, because they're, legal and lawful documents. So, just being able to read those and then read, anything that I'm dealing with, whether it be work or something I'm doing outside of that, it just helped me with that. And yeah, like you said, just knowing this information and actually applying it. Like, you all don't know as the viewer, but we got some things we definitely gonna be dropping, come the next year, in regards to, this information that we've been presenting to you all, and how we actually went ahead and said, hey, what's up with this, to this actual government. So we definitely are, have been, applying what we've learned and what we've researched with these documents to actually make a difference. So we just, want to continue to do that. Ask everyone to also continue to do that. Any information that you come across, whether it be an illegal document, read through it. Challenge what contradictions show within that versus, this government's foundation, which is this Constitution. Because that's pretty much all we're doing. Like we continue to reiterate each week, we're just pretty much showing the documents that they created and putting a mirror to their face and saying, hey, what is this? Because you're not abiding by what you're saying,
Right.
your, lawful and legal documents say. And that's something we just had to do as a collective.
Yeah, it's been so many milestones this year. We wouldn't be able to name them all. I think first and foremost would be the different industries paying homage to the inventors. We've done a different one since we've started doing this. So that in itself should be a shot of self-esteem to the American, to the people who look like us. We're showing you through proof of claim that this whole slave narrative is just not true. It's not true. We've given too much to the world. Everybody's having an Arctic blast right now. Who invented heating and air conditioning systems? We did.
Yeah, American. Yeah.
If you're cooking this weekend, who invented the range and the stove? We did. So it's like this whole shit is a lie. And it's like, we really don't know how fragile it is.
Yeah.
I think that's my main thing to us as a group of people, is like, this isn't hard to beat. Even the billions of dollars that Chief Biko was referring to, given to Ukraine and the Afghanistan refugees and all these different other entities. It's not money, it's coupons.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even real money. Like, this whole thing is fake. They literally have a monopoly board game on our back. We stand, all of this falls. I too as well have applied a lot of just exercising my mind on a weekly basis in a group setting. Napoleon Hill, that concept comes from Napoleon Hill. It's called The Power of a Mastermind. Reading a document and getting different minds on it with different points of view, different life experiences. In addition to any personal readings that I do, it's helped me tremendously in my personal life as well, with my different adventures that I do outside of YouTube. For me, consistency, being organized, laying down a clear and concise paper trail for anybody of our group, whether it be our family members, our friends, or just people that we meet, you know, in the world of YouTube. You know, you can literally, like Chief Quietwater said a couple of weeks ago, start from the beginning and you can follow along as we read these documents. I'm not saying that it's never been done. I'm saying I've never seen it. And we're not standing on a soapbox because we're all prisoners of war under this government. So there can never be a big I, little you, because everybody is reaping the benefits off of stuff that we created. But I think the fact that it's in order and we've debunked so many lies amongst our group, the 40 acres and a mule, right? We work that document as we continue. If you follow this channel, Special Field Order number 15, the 1866 Civil Rights Act. A lot of people believe that that's our first Civil Rights Act. We've proven that that did not apply to us, that actually gave the European the right to create posses, to create these little clans.
Deputize themselves.
Right. And so we ask our people, when have you ever seen us deputize ourselves and go into a European town and go get straightening for one of us being murdered? So clearly that Civil Rights Act was for the peasant that was released from slavery. But it's so much, and I'm gonna pass it back to y'all because it is the last video of the year. It says a lot that we can stay consistent and persistent. Anything else that's coming to your mind, Chief Biko, Chief?
Yeah, definitely want to say, not to cut you off, definitely want to say, man, just doing this, I want to say this, this year I was able to find an American inventor within my own family. So just being able to do this, you know, like you said, being consistent with it, actually talking with your relatives, like that in itself showed me like, yeah, that was just, you know, icing on the cake when it comes to, you know, this whole slave narrative, like me being able to see somebody from my own lineage not only, you know, invented something, but, you know, was known for this invention. Like me actually being able to pull up documents and things of that nature. And even if you aren't, but just being able to, you know, as a group, you know, just do that research for yourself. You know, that's that gives you pride, and that gives you, you know, that puts fuel in your tank to keep going forward. So that was definitely big for me, and that's definitely one thing I wanted to definitely, you know, shout out this year, just in my own light, and just, you know, shout out to the Indigenous one, Carrie. Shout out to Aboriginal TV. Shout out to the Original Copper Empress for, you know, just opening up their platforms to allow us to continue to spread this information. Because like Chief Alligator said, there's no big eyes, little U's, and just being for them to be able to open up their platform for us just shows that as well. We, you know, all this narrative of, you know, we can't work together, we can't trust each other, things of that nature. We're debunking that. We're debunking everything, not only in when it comes to these quote unquote narratives, these lies, these documents that have been told to us. We're debunking everything. We're debunking, you know, that we can't work together as a group of people because we can, because we absolutely can.
And for me, in addition to what I said, I think, you know, what you said too, Chief Biko, for me, is being able to share the information with family, you know, close family and close friends who you wouldn't normally not have these kind of conversations with about this information, because it's way over people's heads. And then, you know, you just send them the link to the YouTube, and then you know, they start to tap in, and it's like, wow, you don't realize how much they didn't know. And they may not tune in every week, or, you know, they may peek in every now and again, but just being able to have deeper conversations with people that you love and people in your small circles about something of substance, something that actually means something to us that's personal, you know, in regards to our journey as a people. So I think that's one of the most important things with me as well.
I just thought of another huge milestone that we can't overlook, y'all. While we were doing this year, the United States government had its first ever 1866 Indian Treaty hearing. So that, to me, was the universe rewarding us for being in alignment because that was earlier this year, and that was not talked about in the quote unquote indigenous community on YouTube. And we did videos on that. And of course, we're gonna, re-show those videos, but you can go back through our archive. I think it was in the third fiscal quarter of this year, talk about in July and October. But they did their first ever 1866 Indian Treaty hearing, and to see these Europeans sitting up here just telling bold-faced lies while reading their documents, claiming there was a civil war, but at the same time reading the word rebellion off the documents. And it's like, once enough of us get on the right frequency and start doing this, they say readers are leaders for a reason. We're in last place because we let the TV tell us everything. And we have to stop watching Jewish media and believe that that's actually what happened. And we're debunking that on a weekly basis by going through these documents. There was no 40 acres and a mule allotted. The 1866 Indian treaties are a bunch of bullshit. They're trying to cover up all the unlawful treaties done by their military prior to that. The Cherokee, the Creek, the Chickasaw, the Seminole, all of those tribes were east of the Mississippi River. So if your family comes from the Georgia, Carolinas, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana area, yes, and you can go back to the late 1800s, yeah, you are those people. And your ancestors didn't go into Oklahoma. Pass it back to you, Chief Biko. Anything else coming to your mind, looking back at this year in review?
That's really it. I mean, I think we didn't hit everything. Definitely wanted to highlight that thing in regards to just my family, and again, just shouting out those that allowed us on their channel. But yeah, I think we pretty much hit everything. Again, like I said, we got some things coming down the pipeline that we're going to reveal for the viewer. Because we not only read these documents, but we also, try to apply certain things to make sure we can get out of this predicament that we're in. Whether it be, our 12 steps, we're actually trying to provide solutions for these issues as well. So yeah, just more to come. Just appreciate everybody that's been very supportive of the channel, whether they like, subscribe, share. We just do this for service work. We're not asking for any, cash apps, any money. And that's no knock on anybody that does, but we know it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, and we know the predicament that we're in. As Chief Alligator stated, we're in last place. So whether or not you have resources to give to us, we're not worried about that. We just want you to have this knowledge and to be able to apply it to your different family members, like Chief Quietwater said. So we all need to know this information if we're going to elevate as a group. And again, just appreciate all of the Lost Confederacy tribe. We gained a bunch of subscribers this year, man. So that's a big shout out as well. We did a lot of work. We did a lot of work and reaping the benefits of it. But again, we're going to continue to do this, and we appreciate everybody who's been on this journey with us as well.
Let's add a personal note to it.
Go ahead.
Tell the people, Chief Biko, how you got on your journey, and then Chief Quietwater, you share with the chat how what was your journey to get to this point? That way we make it personal.
Yeah.
Let people know.
Yeah.
What do you mean by it? What? Okay, I'll let you go, Chief.
Okay. Now it's funny you said that, because I was thinking about that earlier today. Like just even from my name, like I'll be the first one to tell you the reason why I even got on the journey to walking away from everything would be personally me. My brother, he was going against the Christian religion. He was like, yeah, man, this religion ain't for us. And this is probably back in 2016. And that may have been foreign to a lot of people. Like, what you mean there ain't no Jesus? This man tripping. He doing one of his Kanye rants. But if that's my brother, I don't give a damn about no religion. You my blood. So I knew that just right off the top. I wasn't going to let some type of indoctrination, some type of religion, some type of subscription come between me and my brother. So instead of me casting him off, I said, let me listen to him at least. Let me at least come with an open mind to see what he's got to say. And as he was telling me these things, I did my own research, and I said, okay, he right. This Christianity, this religion ain't for us. This was, given to us as a means to control us. And on that journey, I ventured off into, the destruction of the Black civilization, Chancellor Williams. And, I could speak for myself. I was on the Pan-African movement because I was still on my journey to where I am today. In doing so, I met these two individuals here while fighting for our group of people during the 2020 protests. I have some two other brothers I've been knowing since middle school. We were doing the same thing. We all met. And Chief Alligator just came to me and asked me a simple question, man. Pretty much, who told you that you were from Africa and who said that you or that we were enslaved? So me, I say all that to say, without me having that first open mind to listen to my brother when it came to religion, I wouldn't be here today. So just, it's a process, guys. We all have, our stints with nigga culture, whatever that may be, whether it be you partying every weekend, whether it be you stuck on another path, whether it be Pan-Africanism or you're looking at a whole nother continent when your grandma saying that you from here, you're Cherokee, you're Indian, whatever it may be. I had to go through those things myself personally to get to where I am now. And I'm fine with wearing that on my sleeves. That's why my name Chief Biko. I got that name from a African, I don't even know what you would call it, an African, I don't want to say abolitionist, but African activist, Steve Biko. But I still carry that today because I say, you know what, this is what led me to where I am today. So I'm not afraid to show that. I'm not afraid to, be transparent with you all as the viewer, because we all take steps to get to where we are currently. So that's how I got here today. And I'm happy for it. I wouldn't change a thing because it led me to, this great group of people on this channel that I can call my brothers and sisters. And, it led me to, finally realizing, yeah, I'm from this place. I'm from this land called America.
And for me, I would say like we met Chief Biko and Chief Alligator, like you said, we met fighting for something, standing up at all costs with no fears for something. And for me, the journey and how just progressing is the weekly consistency that we've had. So, in the beginning with all the reading, we're taking out an hour a week or a little more than an hour a week to do something constructive and collective with each other. And doing this every single week for as long as we've had definitely has been beneficial, with the information that, like I said before, I can just go on and on about the information that I did not know. And me being able to pass that on to my kids, because actually my kids, they're younger, they were actually on the page, but they kind of like drifted off and doing their own thing, but introducing them to this. And it's not like they're oblivious to the information, that they will also be able to pass something on to their kids when they have kids. So the cycle, just doing this for me and my immediate bloodline has been broken with me, passing on this information. So that has brought me to stick in there for this time.
For me, we go back to 08, Blog Talk Radio. I started on my journey with Jordan Maxwell. I started listening to Jordan Maxwell, getting into the occult. Then I morphed into high frequency radio, and I got in, I linked up with Yusuf El. And Yusuf El still has a YouTube channel, and he was talking about rules to the game, how there is no money. And that was a crucial time for me because I was about to start fighting for legal rights for my son. And so between Yusuf El, High Frequency Radio, Taj Tariq Bey ended up coming on his channel for a while. I never claimed to be more, but I learned a lot from everybody. So I learned a little bit from Taj Tariq Bey about civics, him and Yusuf El. That allowed me to represent myself in court with my son. After Taj Tariq Bey, then you get into your house of consciousness, your Dr. Claude Anderson, got into his literature, of course, Dr. Carter G. Woodson. But the most important scholar for me was Dr. William Katz, and he's actually a European, and he's the only scholar that ever talked about the positive of our people. And he posed a question in his book called Black Indians. And in that book, he said it baffles him to this day why all Black scholars don't talk about the positive and they only talk about the slave narrative. And that pushed me to the edge of the coin. I was no longer going to do heads or tails. I was going to stand on the edge of the coin. And, you know, he died in 2019 when this channel actually launched. So I thought that was kind of like divine in itself. I thought that, you know, the fact that him growing up in New York with his father being raised in the jazz sector in the early 1920s, he was just one of those Europeans that wanted to be us. And he was infatuated with all our history. And the fact that somebody of our bloodline finally got what he was saying and was willing to put it out, I felt like that was kind of like he knew at that point he could go ahead and transition. But I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people, and I'm not going to say that I saw the flaws in other people's stuff, but when it didn't sound pure is when I kind of disconnected, and then just put together something that was pure with no flaws and no gimmicks in it. You see what I'm saying? And that's what we're doing on this channel. It's no bait and switch. You know, we're just saying if you're melanated and your great grandparents is buried in this land, keep your mind open that you might be American. And then we're just showing you the documents. There's no religious twist to it. There's no hollering, no emotionalism. We're just going to look at the proof of claim and go from there. We're not trying to send anybody on no wild goose chase, because I'm convinced, based on the research and based on everything we've done, anything outside of creating tribes and confederacies, our own government, this is not a nonprofit organization. We're not going to be able to file any documents within this government to get back what's taken. We would have to create our own, and then we would have to have the United States government and some type of proceeding where we could present proof of claim to them and prove based on their own documents that you've been unlawfully warned against us, you've destroyed towns, you've murdered us. We have to have our own laws. I think that's the biggest thing for us. We have to become creators again and understand we can create our own laws. For example, murder having no, what do they say about murder? There's no statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got people right now that you got people on camera taking pictures, hanging us from 50 years ago. You know, we need our own government so that we can prosecute these people.
Yeah.
Right. We're not going to be able to do that within their government. So shout out to everybody that was willing to jump out here and the Taj Tariq Bays, the Yusuf Els, the Jordan Maxwells, the Gene Keatings, Dr. Claude Anderson. One thing about Dr. Claude Anderson, he revealed this year that his family is on the Dawes roll. I would say to him that I find it very interesting that you know you're American, but when you talk to other people who look like you always say that we're slaves. You know, I think we'll be surprised to know the amount of people that have Dawes roll numbers. Even Judge Joe Brown has admitted that his mom is Choctaw, right? So we got a lot of people around us that know we're American, and some of their families were lucky enough to be on the Dawes roll, but they pump this slave narrative to us. And I'm just one to just say, let's come to the table and let's have a real honest discussion amongst ourselves. Because if you are American, Dr. Claude Anderson, then what would make you think that I'm not American, or Chief Biko American, or Chief Quietwater?
Yeah.
Well, I'll close with that. I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people, a lot of different information. So I just wanted to give kudos to all those different people that taught me along the way.
For sure. Shoot, I think that's a good ending point for this last week in the fiscal quarter. This last fiscal quarter. Again, we gonna keep this thing moving along. We not stopping here. gonna keep this thing moving into the next fiscal year. So yeah, continue to tune in, continue to like, share, subscribe, continue to talk about this with amongst your friends, because we need to have these conversations. We shouldn't be talking about, you know, what's the next Jordan that's finna drop, or who got eliminated from what show. Like, these are the conversations we need to have. We need to elevate that standard. So yeah, y'all, we appreciate everybody, and